Hey guys, and welcome in this second part of this dashboard tutorial where we're going to create the second dashboard, and we're also going to create two mobile versions of the dashboard that we just designed. This is a two-part video series, so if you haven't checked out the previous video, feel free to do so, but I'm leaving the source file in the link below, so you can even avoid doing the first part if you don't want to, and you can just follow along this tutorial right from where we left off. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so let's continue and let's create the second dashboard screen. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to simply select this one, and I'm going to duplicate it by holding Shift Option and also the left mouse button. And one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to share the keyboard viewer so that you're going to be able to see each and every one of the keyboard actions. So, alright, now we have some cleaning up to do, and the first thing that we're gonna do is we're just going to get rid of these elements right here, and I'm also going to get rid of this one, as well as the bottom section, which we won't really get rid of completely. Actually, let's just skip it for now, and let's just focus on the very top ones. So we're also going to rename these top labels. And we're going to start with the performance right here. So let's call this one tertiary. Second one is going to be secondary. And this one, or actually, let's start with the primary. And then let's reverse it. So instead of having 4 columns, we're actually going to have only 3. And let's unlock these lines right here so that we can have some more freedom. I'm just going to add one line here, another one here, and I'm going to duplicate this so that we have 4 lines in total. I just can select all of them and distribute horizontally so we can have 3 equal columns. Now at this point we don't need these 2 lines which we added, so we're just going to remove them, and we're simply going to keep these 3 labels. So let's go and let's make this one the same padding left as this one right here. So this is going to be 30, this one is going to be 32, so let's just nudge it 2 pixels away. This one here is going to be 30 as well. So cool, this part is pretty much sorted out. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to select this element. I'm going to zoom in right here, and I'm going to simply create the 2 elements. So this one here, and let's just divide this by 2, and we're gonna be good to go. So the main objective here is we're going to create some sort of a crypto kind of like exchange. We don't really have a specific agenda when it comes to the functionality, but we just want to capture the vibe, if that makes sense. So we're just going to make these guys with 0 borders, and probably let's go with a stroke value, a stroke color which is a little bit more pronounced. So let's go over here and let's just center this. We're going to rename it to by. Let's duplicate this one as well, and we're just going to make it shorter right here, and we're going to rename this one to cell. All right, let's also make it regular and maybe light. No, light would be a little bit too much. Maybe let's consider bringing the by to a bold version. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so far so good. Let's select these elements right here now. And by the way, I'm using the deep select quite a bit when just selecting elements within a group, since that just makes the process easier to work around, so that you don't really have to go in each and every one of the groups and start selecting individual layers. So that's that. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to need another type of arrow. So let's go back and use nucleo arrows again, and let's just bring this one here. Let's flip it vertically, and let's add it over here. And we're also going to make it just a little bit bigger. All right, cool. And let's change the color, and let's add a EU portfolio. Okay, perfect. Maybe let's just make it just a bit higher, and this will do. All right, cool. So we got the category, and now we're going to add a second one. But as you can see, we're having a little bit of an issue with the spacing. So one thing that we want to do is we just want to like bring all of these a little bit more to the right, and maybe let's just select these all, secondary, tertiary, and actually let's go ahead and let's select the artboard in of itself. Let's turn these ones on. And as you can see, we previously had an artboard with 4 columns, but now we want to change it to an artboard with 3 columns, so that we're going to have 2 different styles for each of these. Now what we're gonna do is we're simply going to grab these guys. We're gonna make sure that it's going to go all the way to the edge. I'm going to select these guys right here and pretty much do the same. All right, so far so good. We're going to keep this this grid for now, and we're going to duplicate this once and twice. Maybe let's just bring these guys a little bit more down. Select all of these. Let's group them, and yeah, still just a little bit more down, and let's distribute it vertically, and we're good to go. Cool. So this is category, this is amount. This one is going to be, let's add a 63 in the mix, and we're going to add a value, which is going to be the Bitcoin value. And let's use this gray for the Bitcoin. Let's make it one smaller since it's all caps. Just want to balance it out a little bit. Marketplace, timeline, 1 year. We're just adding some random values. Budget is going to be 35 plus 99. And we're also going to add the label right here. So what's the difference? You can barely see it. 13.24 and 13. Yeah, that will do. Cool. This last one is going to be a button. So it's going to be buy in. Portfolio, and we're going to use the same going to use the bold right here. We're going to use regular for this one. All right, so far so good. Now let's add a fill, which is going to be something around these lines, more or less. Cool. And this will be also the same color that we're going to add here below under the buy, in order to tell the users that this section has been is the current selected one. Cool, so far so good. Now I'm going to group all of these elements because I'm going to duplicate them just a few times, and I just want to have them all grouped well. It's going to be call to action, by cell, it's going to be the category. We're going to have the amount, marketplace, timeline, budget, and CTA button. Cool, so far so good. Also missing, oh, this one wasn't captured. It's the budget. And cool, so far so good. I think the only thing that we want to have sorted out is the order, just for consistency. So we're going to have the category, the amount, just below this one. We're going to have the marketplace and the timeline. Let's bring this one here, then CTA and the budget. Cool. So we got this whole section done pretty much. I'm just going to duplicate it one time and then 2 times. Perfect. And this is going to give us the base to start working on. So far so good. I think we need to just adjust these ones so that we're going to be more it's going to reflect more of the grid. And cool, let's just bring all of this to the right. I'm just going to copy the style here and just make sure that the cell is selected instead. And we're going to let's center this, center all of this, and let's go ahead and let's select the actual cell color. It's going to be something around these lines. So maybe just a bit of a darker and not as pronounced red in this mix, and this is looking good. Now let's change the amounts, and let's just be sure that these are different. Ethereum, 5 years. And let's also change these ones. I'm going to stick to Bitcoin. And let's say your portfolio. Cool. Also going to remove this in this case, and let's bring all this here, and we're just going to have one single label, which is investment idea, and let's enter all of it. And cool, I think the only thing that we want to change here is the color of this text. I'm going to make the same color right here, and this is going to be invest. Just want to mix things up just a little bit so we can have a little bit of more differentiation in the solutions. Cool. So very next thing that we're gonna do is we're just going to get rid of all of the text. We're also going to get rid of most of the buttons. This one is going to be shorter, and we're also going to just ungroup this for the time being, as well as the rows. And let's bring this one up here. It's going to be called investment portfolio, and we're going to add the dates on the very right edge. So that's going to be the way that we're going with for this specific case. I'm going to make this one bigger, and I remove a line, or actually add a view more at the very end. Let's center this. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to change the values, but even before we do that, we're just going to add some dots here. We're just going to duplicate them a few times. So this is going to be pretty good looking. All right, dot. Let's just oops, for some reason didn't really catch. Rename dot. Perfect. So let's go over here. Let's just start naming these into different values. So this is going to be BTC 3.2. I'm just going to duplicate it so we can have a base going. Some of these are going to be USD, so let's change that. And let's just change the values randomly. And this is going to be 5, 3.5, this is going to be 7.1, this other one is going to be 9.1, and this one's going to be 6. All right, perfect. So far so good. Now we're going to add a bit of color in the mix. So some of these are going to be red. Oops. Some of these are going to be green. And so far so good. Let's just give it a try, and let's remove the layout grid and see how this is looking. For some reason this view more is, I'm not really feeling it. It's a little bit, there's not enough space at the bottom, so maybe let's just consider creating a bit of more space for this specific one on vertically. So cool, I think overall this is looking good. We're also going to add a check here, so let's grab a check in nucleo icons. Let's add it here. So again, we're using Google Material Design for these things, and let's go ahead and make this one gray. Let's bring it here. Let's move it a bit on the right, and there you go. I think we're in a good position, and I think that I'm also going to make all of these backgrounds just a little bit less visible. Yeah, 0.5% opacity will do. And let's bring it down, and I think we are in a good position. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to bring back the layout grid, and just move this one down a bit, and we're going to bring this ones to the right, this one's to the right as well. And let's just go ahead and change the values just a bit. It's going to be portfolio 2, this one is going to be portfolio 3. So the way we're going to change the values is we're going to add some percentages, and let's see if there are some sort of way that we can leverage the content reel in order to create percentages in numbers. So these are the currencies. Now let's click over here. We can see all of the options, random, regional, sentence. Let's give it a shot and see maybe if we can just create some of these, and we're going to left line, so this is going to look more neat. All right, so far so good. Now let's give it a shot and let's add some colors in these, and we're going to add minus in some of these so that we're going to have some variety when it comes to colors. And I think this is looking good. So let's go ahead and also let's just change some of these values again, so it's going to be more unique. And let's change the numbers as well. It's going to be 9.3. This one's going to be 6.1, 7.5, 3, 2, 7, and yeah, so far so good again. So let's go ahead here and let's change these ones with content reel again. So under plugins, and by the way, if you don't have content reel, you can simply go at the very bottom under manage plugins, and you can easily install it. It's a free plugin. It's one of the most trending the last time I checked, so it's going to be quite easy to spot. Now let's go ahead here and let's see what else we could possibly leverage. Maybe let's go with phone numbers. For some reason this is going to make sense in the investment. Maybe these are sort of maybe instead of using the first digit, you can simply keep it like this. So maybe these could be account numbers for this specific project, or things of that nature. So it makes sense in the context. Now let's add the dates. Some different dates again. Cool. So far so good. Now just to mix things up, we're going to add a few gray elements right here. Just make it a little bit lighter, and yeah, I think overall this is looking good. Let's just remove this, and we're actually ready to group all of this and move on to the mobile versions. So okay, this one is going to be the first one. Just buy and sell one, or actually this one is going to just be buy. So we're going to group all of these. These are going to be sell. We're going to group all of these into investment ideas, and let's also group these guys. Investment portfolio 1. This one's going to be investment portfolio 2, and this one here is going to be investment portfolio 3. Cool. So we are in a good position. We have the 2 dashboards now, and what we're gonna do is we're going to create a new frame, which is going to be a phone, a iPhone. You can go with any of these that you prefer. I'm going to go with iPhone 11 Pro for the time being. Even if it's going to be the iPhone 13 or 16, it's the same concepts are going to apply. So don't worry. You can definitely change the sizes up. The only thing that changes really is going to be the width. So that's that. So the way we're gonna do it is we're going to simply duplicate this, and we're going to create the very top header. So let's go ahead here. Let's unlock this. Let's add an effect, and we're going to need a hamburger icon. All right, maybe let's type in menu. Yeah, that's exactly what I was searching for. Perfect. And we're going to kind of like try and eyeball what the final result would like to be. So let's just bring it here. Let's add it inside of the actual artboard. Probably let's make this header just a little bit smaller. And we're going to go ahead and create the mobile version for this dashboard. Now we're also going to change the color so that it's going to be appropriate with and blending well with the other elements. And we're also going to change the background color. So the fill is going to be this one right here. We're going to add another rectangle just below. Going to remove the shadow. I'm going to click over here and paste it in. Now we can actually go ahead and create a grid. Oops. We can actually go ahead and create a grid or actually some columns for this design. So let's go ahead and let's just do that. Probably just want a layout around these lines. There isn't really like a specific layout that we need in mobile. It's mainly based on our preferences, but for the time being, let's just go with this one, and we're just going to manually adapt these. And another way that you can do it is by using the constraints and the auto layout features. In this specific tutorial, we're not going to go over those because for some reason I prefer to do the mobile versions manually like this, and I really enjoy using the auto layout features, especially when it comes to other elements such as the tablet versions. So for tablet, I'm a big fan of just going auto layout all the way, really. But when it comes to the mobile version, I prefer operating this way. So cool. We have also this one here, and let's just manually adapt it. Perfect. Same is going to be for this one. And actually we don't really have the we're missing the title, so let's just bring all of this right here, and let's add the top title. Cool. And after that, we're simply going to add the other elements. And I'm not really a fan of this grid color, so we're going to go ahead and make this grid a little bit lighter so that I can also better understand the context in which I'm operating in. So let's just make this one bigger, and let's select all of these elements, and let's go ahead here. Oops, didn't paste inside the mobile version, but that's an easy fix. Cool. So far so good. So I'm just going to kind of like eyeball it for now. Just bring these ones here, and then you can go in and once you have the full mobile version, you can go ahead, check, all of the pixels, all of the spacings, margins, paddings, all those things. Afterwards, it's going to be totally fine. But for the first round, I just want to kind of like get the main ideas down, and I also want to check afterwards on my phone design, especially when it comes to things like the fonts and also things like the spacings, because it might look good on our desktop, but you need to see if it's going to work in a real life scenario, if it actually feels good to use. So all of those things, need to be taken care of and to take in consideration so that the final result for the end user is going to be optimal. Now over here, we're going to use a lateral scroll for the table, but one thing that we're gonna do is we're going to make the distance between one column and the other as small as possible. And this is going to enable us to have a better mobile experience. So let's do that, and I could potentially just add this section, this area in the mobile version, but I'm going to add all of it so that it's still going to be available. And if you want to create a prototype and use a feature like lateral scrolling, you can still have it working pretty well. Cool. So far, so good. We need this element here on the right. And I think for the most part, when it comes to this, we're good to go. So let's just make this one shorter, and one mobile. Cool. So we got the first mobile screen, and now we're gonna move on to the next one. It's going to be essentially a duplicate of this green screen. We're going to start adding different specific features needed for this instance. All right, so we have here the primary. And as you can see over here, we'll need a little bit more of tweaking, and let's just do it like this, and let's adapt it afterwards. One trick that I'm gonna use here is I'm going to select all of this, and oops, actually I can't really use it. I just noticed so the way that I'm gonna do it is, it's still going to be pretty fast. I'm just going to select all of the text layers, and I'm going to use the auto width function. And as you can see, we pretty much got it almost on the first try. Cool. I think this needs actually really minimal updates. The thing that we want to update is we want these guys to stay in the right position. Cool. So far, so good. Let's just update these ones. Also, these aren't really touching perfectly, but that's an easy fix. And I think overall, this is looking pretty good. Cool. So what I'm gonna do in this case is I'm just going to bring all of it up here. And instead of like copy and pasting all of these other ones into place, I'm just going to duplicate this a few times. And I'm just going to copy in the elements. Let's go over here, change this one up. So what we're gonna do is also, well, first of all, let's move this one here to cell. Let's change the font sizes. one is going to be investment idea. Change this one up. Cool. So far so good. And you can go ahead and also like change the inner values. For the time being, I don't want to bore you too much with with that kind of updates. So we're just going to move on to the next ones directly. So it's just going to make it easier to follow. But yeah, of course, you want to go ahead and also update those. And let's go ahead here. Let's just create this. Just stretch it a bit. I use auto layout features again. Let's check. We need to add one in order to really make it to preserve the ratios. And cool. I think we're in a good position. It's going to be left line. And let's go ahead here and let's bring this one up. Gonna increase this. And now what we're gonna do is we're actually going to go ahead and just duplicate this a few times. 1 and 2. And again, we're just going to go ahead and copy these. Oops. Once. Twice. And now it's just going to be a matter of copying and pasting the values. So not too much going on here. I'm just going to do it for these ones and the ones above, and then we can pretty much call it a day, because we successfully accomplished our goal. The next stages again would be to check this on the mobile phone, and then go ahead and go back into Figma and edit the spacing as needed, edit the mobile designs as needed, so that it's going to be a good user experience, because this wouldn't be ready for the developers to implement right away. You always want to check what you created in the design in a real life scenario. So maybe like the height between the calls in mobile doesn't look as good. Maybe you want to make them smaller. Maybe there's, there can be like all sorts of different elements which need to be taken care of and slightly adjusted. We won't do it in this tutorial, because otherwise this can take longer, and there's going to be like videos of holding the phone and trying all sorts of different things, which might not be the most interesting to watch. But here you learned pretty much 99.9% of what you need in order to tackle a project such as this one successfully. And the further refinements which you're going to do in a live case scenario is just going to be further incremental refinements, which are for the most part easy to do. It's just they just take some extra time. So great, congratulations for getting to the very end of this tutorial, and I really hope you enjoyed it. So I really hope you enjoyed this video tutorial, and if you're interested in learning more about Figma, I've actually released an entire Figma course for beginners and intermediate users, so feel free to check it out in the comments below. I'm going to leave the link, and on my YouTube channel I have over 300 videos on UI UX design, both software tutorials and also freelance design and business advice, since I've been a UI UX designer for more than 8 years now. So I definitely have a lot of experience that I share on my YouTube channel for free. So feel free to check it out. and subscribe if you're interested in this. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.